Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining me today. Today's topic is flying monkeys. And if you're unfamiliar with what that term means, it's comes from the Wizard of Oz, the story, and basically the Wicked Witch. She is wanting to spy on our main characters, and so what she does is she gets these creatures, and they look like monkeys with wings, and so they fly out and they go and they get intel on the main characters, and then they bring it back to the witch. And so I guess in the analogy, the witch is the NPD, and the you are the main character, and the flying monkeys are friends, co-workers, family, anyone who knows you and the narcissist, and they are trying to get information on you to give to the narcissist. So yeah, at the insistence of the narcissist, usually. Not always, but usually. Now, there are some flying monkeys that, and usually these people are codependent people. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I feel like codependent people are sometimes just viewed as simply people pleasers. But you've got to know that codependent people have their own set of problems as well, as far as passive aggressiveness and thinking that they know what's best for everyone, even more so than the person themselves, because they're so used to trying to find out what this person needs, what this person wants, what, way before they say anything. And so they're so wrapped up in their mind that they think, I know what's best for everyone. I know what's best, I know what they're going to want, I know what they're going to need. And so they just don't realize it yet. And if I just, you know, do this thing for them, then they're going to be happy, and they don't even realize it, and it's going to be great. So, that I believe is one type of flying monkey where they might, and usually this is probably, someone in your family that's just wants the whole family to get along and get together and just, be a happy big family under the sun. And what they don't realize is that they're actually trying to get the target of abuse back together with the abuser. And so I think if they knew that, they wouldn't try so hard. Um, they may even realize that there may have been some abuse going on, but they're, basically wanting the target to kind of forget about that. Or, maybe the narcissistic person or the abuser has sort of tricked or manipulated them into thinking that they've changed, and so now the flying monkey is going to say, "Oh no, they've changed. Everything is great now. Just come back and be a family again, and just suck it up and just forget about it. Forgive and forget." How they always like to say that saying. And then on the other side, there's also just people who like to see awkwardness and drama. And so, these are people that they like to make up things, they like to manipulate, and they know that you're not happy with the narcissist. And so they want to see people suffer. And so they'll say things, or they'll try to get people to do things that will incriminate them themselves, and then tell the narcissist about it, and then they can kind of get some kind of supply off of that themselves. And what I mean is, if you, for instance, I've heard of like siblings being, and I'm an only child, so I haven't personally dealt with this, but I have heard stories For instance, say there are a brother and sister and they're both always competing for the golden child status. And so, the brother will come to the sister and pretend to be, oh, I'm on your side and da 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 da, and everything is great between us. And, tell me your deepest secrets, and then the sister will give up the secret thinking that she can trust the brother. And then the brother goes and tells mom and dad or whatever narcissist that so this happened, and then that for the day wins them the golden child status. And so that's, I believe, the other type of flying monkey. I've not really had much dealings with the latter, but definitely with the former. In my case, my flying monkeys, excuse me, are my mom's side of the family, specifically my grandparents on her side. And so growing up, I didn't really have much dealings with them. They always lived out of state, and they moved around a lot. And so I only got to see them rarely, not just because of the moving, but because also my father just hated my grandmother, my mom's mom. Now, I do believe that my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, has borderline personality disorder. I don't think it's on the malignant end. I think it's very close to the malignant end, but not quite. I don't think she's wanting to hurt other people nearly as much. I think she likes to hurt my grandfather, her husband, but I don't think it's really spilled out onto other people as much. But I do believe she's also a closet alcoholic, which doesn't help things, because when you have someone who is borderline also has the trait of narcissist. And when someone also is an alcoholic, that narcissistic tendency is magnified as well. So, little lesson there, I guess. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, so we didn't really get to see them very often when I was growing up. So I didn't really understand the dynamic of my grandfather being very passive aggressive, codependent, and my grandmother being a borderline personality alcoholic. And that was not the reason that my father didn't want my mother to be around her parents or her family. He didn't want them to be around because he likes to isolate my mother against anyone that may care about her or that she may care about in some way, because he is afraid, deathly afraid of her leaving him and not having his supply from her. So all that being said, as I grew up, I was able to move out of my parents' house and, moved in with my boyfriend who I'm now with. I've been living with him for about 8 years almost now. Excuse me. And so I reached out to my grandparents, and I wanted to have that relationship I never got to have, that I felt was taken away from me by my father. So everything seemed fine at first. They would come to visit, and they would take pictures and just, oh, we missed you. We want to have this relationship with you that we never got to have, and, all of this. And then at that point, I wasn't no contact with my parents, but I really wasn't just really wanting to speak with them all the time. I was just sore, and I just really, this is when I first moved in to the state I'm in now. I was just very sore, and I didn't really want to have much to do with them. So after my grandparents left, I noticed on Facebook that my grandpa had posted pretty much all of the photos and tagged my mother to look at all of these photos. And I just kind of felt icky about it. I didn't tell him he couldn't do it. I didn't think about it, but I just kind of felt like a little bit violated at the time. But kind of making a longer story short, he did this every single time he came to visit. They did this. And I think it was definitely on purpose. I think that he gave them my information, my telephone number, where my address was, what my address was, um, everything. The photos of the inside of our place, our animals, our pets, and everything. And so, kind of the last straw was one of the last times that they came around. They don't come around anymore because I believe I upset them, but with this. But I said, I understand that you feel like you want to get the family together again, but this, for my sake, can we just keep our relationship between us? Please don't post any photos. Please don't tell anyone else my address. I was trying to set boundaries with them. But you've got to understand that people who have been in these relationships, borderlines, with BPD people, and MPD, people, they don't understand boundaries. And so for him, I think that upset him. I think he got very mad at me, but he couldn't express it because he's highly codependent. So he just ignored me. And he kept posting things. He kept giving out my information every time I would move. And it got to the point where finally the previous house that we lived in, they would make the excuse, well, we're not going to come visit you, but what's your address so we can send you birthday cards? And I gave that to them. But it got to the point where I knew what was going on. I knew the score. And I was just like, you know what? When we moved into this house, I'm not giving anyone else my address, my home address. Because I don't, especially now, putting all this stuff out there on the internet. My father's very tech savvy. If he came across this and he knew that it was me talking about him, he would become very angry. He might become very violent. He's been violent in the past with family, with strangers. He might, if he knew my address, he might hurt me and my, current family. And I don't need that. I don't want that weighing down on us. So I was just like, you know what? I'm done with this. And so I've cut out that whole side of my family because I've had to. I blocked all the numbers, all the Facebook, all the social media, emails, everything, because I just can't, for my own sanity and safety, I just can't, be in contact with these people. And so for me, that's what's been best. As far as the other, like, family, friends, and things like that, there was a little bit of flying monkey going on, but honestly, I just unfriended them on Facebook, and I didn't really have much other dealings with them. So, I mean, that was fairly easy to do too. You do miss certain people, but if it's for your own safety and sanity, and for those that you love and those around you that really matter, you do what you've got to do. And I did what I had to do as well. But I am curious, what are your experiences with flying monkeys? How do you deal with that? How have you dealt with it? You know, for a while I just tried to do the gray rock technique, where you just don't tell them anything that's going on really in your life, and you just talk about the weather. Don't give them any emotions or anything at all, because that's what they feed off of. They like it, especially my BPT grandmother. She loves drama. She loves when people are sad or hurt or angry, or any kind of emotion that she can get. She just, it's nummy to her. She loves it. So I tried that that only worked so much. They kind of caught on to what was going on, and it just was sort of like, I don't want to have any dealings at all to a point, you know. So that's where I was able to kind of cut myself loose. But yeah, just let me know, what are your experiences, and are you still dealing with this, or how um, have you even noticed this, or now that I'm saying something, are you kind of noticing something kind of going on like that? I'll just be curious to hear what you have to say. But yeah, that's all for today. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll post more later.